Hey everybody, John Huber here, Maryland Education Network. Talk to you about the second part of the Kirwan Commission recommendations. This one has to do with the teachers. This is the one that's I want to say probably not necessarily the most important, but we're getting into some of the details here of exactly what they're recommending. Just as a brief overview, I'm trying to make these as short as possible, but I think it's important that people understand exactly what it is they're talking about. They're talking about increasing the status of the teaching profession in Maryland, and they're talking about bringing it online along with, bringing it commensurate with other professions such as, an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer. They're talking about making it a high caliber, very revered profession, and in order to do that, they've recommended several different things. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to raise the standards in order to get into the teaching profession. They're going to make it more rigorous. They're going to make it more challenging in college and make it more difficult, and I'll go into that a little more in a second. There's going to be research components involved in becoming a teacher, where they're going to have to do action research while they're on the faculty at a school. They're talking about racial awareness components of the profession, both in their preparation in college as well as continuing ongoing professional development in the school system. They're talking about making elementary teachers content experts, because those of you who don't know anything about education, in general, the content folks are more of the later middle school, high school people. Like, a math teacher in a high school has to be really, really knowledgeable about math, whereas, say, an elementary teacher in past has not necessarily been the math expert. So the higher in the age level you go, the more content specific you need to be. According to this, they feel that elementary level people need to be just as content knowledgeable as the secondary folks. They're talking about effectively manage student behavior. This is interesting. There's one sentence in this 300 and some odd page report, 200 some odd page report. I'm sorry, I don't want to exaggerate. There's one sentence that says there will be professional development on assisting teachers to effectively manage student behavior. Wow. That is the only mention of student behavior in this entire report. I'll have a lot more to say about that in a later video. They talk about an exit test for the teacher profession when you become a teacher, in order to be certified at the secondary or at the collegiate level to get a bachelor's degree, become certified, some type of exit exam, and then again raise the licensing standards for the content portion of that as well. They're talking about a full year of student teaching as opposed to traditional, one semester. And they're talking about, again, as I mentioned before, action research as part of this whole process. So those are the things that they're recommending. They're talking about teaching scholarships, providing scholarships for people and loan assistance for people who want to enter the teaching profession, encouraging universities to have matching funds for grant writing, encouraging universities to write grants and get federal grants and things for loan forgiveness and helping people pay off their loan, all that. I always find it interesting. No one's forgiving anything. A loan is a loan, and whoever loaned the money originally is going to get the money back. It's just going to come from a different source. That's all. And they're talking about advertising in the profession to advertise, to try and encourage people to become teachers. The big one that everyone talked about, raising teacher salaries. Whether you agree or don't agree, what they're suggesting is, and they've laid out some facts that says that when you look at some of the other professions that are commensurate with teaching, for example, if you look at accounting, I'm not talking about doctors and lawyers, I'm talking about accounting, engineers, various types of professionals. They're saying that the teacher salary doesn't stack up to that. So they're suggesting in the first 3 years a straight across the board 10% increase in teacher salary. Bam, done. 10% right off the gate for 3 years. Then what they're suggesting is a career ladder, and this is where a lot of teachers, start, getting on or off the boat. There's a career ladder. Every teacher will have a choice of 2 tracks. They either take the teaching leader track, the teacher leader track, or the administrative track. And if you become a teacher leader, then you become in the leadership track, you become a licensed teacher. Then you become an NBC, Nationally Board Certified teacher. The same thing within the administrative track. You would also become a board certified teacher in that track. So what they're saying is, you have to get either, very similar to what it is now, either your master's degree or a master's plus 30, or where the board certification does not exist, because not all teaching certifications have the ability to become board certified, because they don't offer certifications in every subject. So you're either going to have a master's degree and then a master's plus 30, or if your subject allows, you need to become nationally board certified. And then what happens is there's 3 steps. This is the big one: lead teacher, master teacher, professional master teacher. Lead teacher, master teacher, each one represents a $15,000, the other one's like a $18,000 or something increase in salary. Then in the administrative track, you become a licensed principal or you become a master principal. Okay, the state will provide training, and they're also talking about training for the state superintendent, the local superintendents, and the principals on this entire new system. All right, so they're talking about a completely revamping of the system in terms of the teaching profession. Time of day, more time available for teachers. Now this is one of those things that I always believe, it sounds good, and of course we want teachers to have more time during the day for things like reviewing student work and grading and mentoring and tutoring, that sort of thing. But then the question becomes, where does it come from? It's very simple. There's one of 2 things that have to happen in order to provide teacher time during the day. A, have more teachers, or B, more students in the class with one teacher. They kind of hinted in the report deep down inside there somewhere, I can't remember exactly where I read it, but they kind of hinted at the fact that class size is not really a concern with this commission. They say that there's no research anywhere that says anything about class size having effect on student achievement. So in one case they even mentioned 30, 34, 35 kids in a class. Didn't seem to be too much of a concern. Their concern was providing teachers time to collaborate, professional development, planning, tutoring, that sort of thing. And if you really get into the fine details of this report, it really it expands upon this whole idea of teacher time. Specifically, the lead teacher, remember we have a lead teacher, a master teacher, a professional master teacher. The lead teacher will only teach 50% of their time. Currently, school teachers teach about 80% of their time on average. If you have a teacher who teaches, for every 10 hours that the teacher comes to school, 8 of those hours are spent teaching in a classroom. The other 2 are spent time off, and in most cases covering for other teachers who don't come to work. But that's a different issue. Lead teacher, their time, they're saying 50%. They want lead teachers to only teach 50% of their time. The master teachers, they want to only teach 40% of their time. And the professional master teachers, they want to teach 20% of their time. 50, 40, 20. And these final professional master teachers, they want them to be primarily based at the universities, where they work at the universities. They're mentoring current, student teachers and apprentice teachers, and they're doing 20% of their teaching, or 20% of their time is for teaching. Assistant principals, they want them to teach 20% of their time. So assistant principals are going to be teaching 20% of their time, according to this plan, and principals themselves, according to them, should be teaching 10% of their time. So they want teachers, assistant principals, and principals all to be teaching in the classroom. So that essentially is a wrap-up of where we're talking about as far as career teaching leaders go. There's a lot more to it, but this is the nuts and bolts of what we're talking about. Just a quick recap: raising the teacher standards, making it much more difficult to become a teacher. Full year student teaching, action research, teaching scholarships to the universities to help become teachers, or to help people become teachers. Matching grant funds, advertising to become a teacher. Teacher pay, 10% right across the board in the first 3 years. Everyone has to become a licensed teacher or a nationally board certified teacher if your subject allows it. Otherwise, it's a master's or a master's plus 30. Lead teacher, master teacher, professor, master teacher, and then in the administrative track, licensed principal, master principal. And then training for all the area superintendents, principals, and whatnot on how this whole new system would work. Time of day, 20%, lead teachers 50%, master teachers 40%, professor master teachers 20%, primarily based at the universities, and assistant principals would teach 20% of the time. Principals would teach 10% of the time. So therein lies what they're suggesting. You can like it, not like it. I'm just here to try and dig through all the stuff for you and let you know what they're suggesting. Hope you enjoyed this, and I got a couple more videos coming up about the other points of the program, and I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.